Good afternoon, coming at you again from sunny St. Augustine, Florida. And today we're going to be doing some mosaics. So, what? What is that? Mosaics. So, here we have an example of one, and let me bring that forward. And here's a question for you. What type of materials do you think the ancient Greek and Romans made mosaics with? Now, these people lived a long time ago when they couldn't go out to the dollar store, they couldn't go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby, but yet they made these beautiful mosaics. They didn't have plastic. So what do you think they were making them with? How do you think they made them? So a lot of these really early ones were made with clay. Some of them are even maybe like little powels or things that they would actually put together to form a mosaic. Right? These are also, mosaics are sometimes called paintings for eternity. Eternity means like forever. So why do you think these are called paintings for eternity? Do you think, just they can just wash away, or they're going to disappear very easily? Probably not. These would actually have to be like dug up or scraped off of walls, so they last a really, really long time. So how old do we think the oldest mosaics are? We know for sure that the Greeks and the Romans had them. That's a long time ago. It's over 2,000 years ago. How old do you think they date back? They actually do date back thousands of years. In fact, one of the oldest mosaics that we have, an example of right here, is called the Standard of Ur. Now, if you look at this mosaic, there's something different about it from the one I just showed you. Is it very detailed? Does it look very detailed? Does it look like they use all kinds of little bitty pieces here to make up a picture? No, it's pretty simple, isn't it, actually? And if you look at this picture, what is it a picture of? What are they showing a picture of? Are they showing maybe a picture of like mythology? Are they showing, is it like a religious picture? What is that? It just looks like some fishermen, doesn't it? Maybe guys coming off their boats, or maybe they're at the market trying to sell their fish. It's just a picture of everyday life. Yeah. So it's not quite like as ornate, or the subject matter isn't quite what we see with Greek and Roman. It's much more simple, much more simple. So later, it did develop into what we think of now when we think of mosaics. Now, this is a really great picture of ancient Roman Empire. Mosaics did predate, it means they started before the ancient Roman Empire. This is just a great map because all this area that you see in purple is pretty much, especially all down in here, is pretty much where you see that the mosaics originated from, spread through, and then moved into other areas. Even way up here in England they have them. So this is a good map. So if you wonder, where did they come from? There you go. Okay, so we have the Standard of Ur, and now we have this. This is a mosaic. This is not a painting. That's pretty detailed, huh? Really, really detailed. In fact, this is actually on a floor, and you can walk on it. You're not supposed to anymore because they were protecting it, but you could walk on it. So this shows you, it really does look like a painting, doesn't it? It's so detailed. Those pieces are so tiny. This actually dates to about 2,400 or 2,500 years ago. That's a really long time ago. And this is in Greece, okay? And the subject matter is actually the 9 muses, or the goddesses of the inspiration of literature, science, and the arts. So Calliope is in the center of the mosaic. So there was a big jump there between the Standard of Ur and this, okay? And the Greeks usually put them on the floors. So believe it or not, this was kind of normal. You'd see it on the floor. You don't see that today here, do you? Not even here. We usually put pictures like up on walls, or maybe even sometimes we see them on ceilings, but not someplace we'd So we had asked a little bit of questions about what kind of materials. So here's a little bit of an explanation. So there's a little bit different kinds of materials depending on what time period it was. So the earlier materials were something called tesserae. And these are actually manufactured pieces, meaning that the Greeks and Romans made these small little tiles. Okay, it wasn't like they just went outside and found little pebbles or had a piece of pottery and broke it into pieces. They were actually making these pieces. And because they were able to make them in certain sizes and certain colors, they were able to get that amazing detail like we just saw in the last one. By the 5th century, there was smalti, which is little teeny tiny glass tesserae. So you see how it's just kind of shinier underneath there? It looks a little different, okay? And some of them were even backed with like gold or something. So these are mostly used, you wouldn't want to walk on these, so these were mostly used on walls or ceilings, whereas these a lot of times were used on floors. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Let's get down to the fun stuff. Here are some Greek examples. So let's see, we talked about this one. This was the 9 muses, okay? Does anyone know who that could be? Who could that be riding those sea creatures? What kind of mythology, what kind of Greek god do you think that is? Poseidon. Yes, it is Poseidon. In fact, here's another one of Poseidon down here. So a lot of the ones in Greece were actually of their myths, legends, and sea life. Now here's another famous one. Does anyone know who this beautiful woman is here? Beautiful woman with snakes coming out of her head. Do you know who she is? Yes, it's Medusa. Excellent, excellent. Okay. Oh, some Roman ones. All right. So this is an excellent example. This comes from the city of Pompeii. It's in wonderful condition. You can go there today. You see the people in the back. They don't actually let you walk on this. And here in the center is actually what would have been like a little pool or water area. It does show the floor. Pompeii was buried under volcanic ash for many years. So when they uncovered it, a lot of these things were still in pristine condition. You can actually even see on the walls some of the paintings that were still there. And wealthy Romans would put these all throughout their homes and the public buildings. Okay, anything in between those little tesserae were filled with cement, so they're very easy to walk on. Okay, they showed myths, they showed legends, but they also showed things in everyday life. So let's see. So we have, this is actually in a Roman house, and here we have part of a myth. Here we have some ladies having lunch. We actually have an older lady, middle-aged lady, and a young lady. And then here is just some baskets. Okay. A bird. All right, and our last set of examples today. This is actually from the Byzantine Empire. So these occurred later, after the ones that we just saw, and these use the smalti. So you can see in these that they're a lot more shiny, that they have some of that gold backing to them. These are also all on walls or on ceilings, not something that you would walk on. And these are frequently found in religious buildings. You start seeing these around 4th to 5th century, about 400s. All right, and mostly, like I said, you see them in religious buildings, so they're religious scenes on them. They're extremely detailed. They do almost look like paintings. Okay, so today we are going to actually be making our own mosaics today. So all you're going to need for this is some paper, construction paper. You may want a ruler. You may want something round you can trace. You may not. You're going to want a pencil, and you're going to want some scissors, and you can use white glue or a glue stick. All right, so let me gather my supplies, and we'll be right back to put our mosaics together. Okay, so we are ready to work on our mosaic now, and really your mosaic can be a picture of anything you want. So I decided here for my example, I do the sun, and what I actually did was found a candle that was in our house, traced the candle, cut out one big sun, and then did the rest as small little mosaic pieces. Your mosaic can be even all large pieces or large strips like that, or smaller tiny little pieces that you cut. The one thing I will say I learned when I did this is don't use this all over your paper and think you're going to have enough time. It will dry really fast, so just work in tiny little sections. So I'm going to kind of get started here so you can see what I did. I had large pieces of paper, and I've already pre-cut a bunch of them down into strips. You're definitely not going to need this many strips of paper. I think for this one I ended up using 3 half sheets, that size or less, made up this whole collage. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do today is actually make a little mountain. Okay, and then I'm going to do like some trees, kind of maybe like right in here. And this is just obviously a really rough outline for where I'm going to put. And then down here is just going to be water. Okay, and up here is going to be a nice pretty sunset. Right, so we finally got the whole thing done. So you see, it takes a little bit of time, but there's my mountain scene sunset. So whatever you want to do, have fun. It doesn't have to be super exact. As you can see, it still turns out really pretty. All right, we'll see you all next week.